In 1945, the UN Charter positioned human rights as a fundamental reference for the post-war social and political order. The Charter itself aspired to ensure that race, sex, language, religion, and nationality, among other factors, ought never be used to deprive people of basic freedoms. 3 years later, a global discussion initiated by the Charter led to one of the greatest achievements of the UN. That is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was adopted in 1948. 75 years since the establishment of the United Nations, our shared goal of securing human rights universally, for everyone, everywhere, remains at the core of the UN's work. Human rights have driven the UN's work for decades, and in 2015, they were placed right at the center of the UN 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. The global commitment to leave no one behind from the 2030 Agenda is the clearest possible statement of a rights-based approach to development. To fulfill it, the Leave No One Behind promise requires a renewed urgency to tackle poverty, redress inequity, root out discrimination, and afford every person the dignity to which they are entitled in their lives. In 2020, this task got harder. People around the world, in countries big and small, democracies old and new, have faced up to threats to their fundamental civil, political, economic, and social rights. The COVID-19 pandemic has further highlighted inequalities and discriminatory practices. It has made huge changes to the way in which we live, often prejudicing the interests of some of the world's most vulnerable groups. Children have been unable to go to school. Women have faced greater risks to their personal safety. Workers have lost their jobs and incomes. Persons living with a range of impairments have found it even harder to break barriers that exclude them. As the pandemic continues, we must find ways to re-emerge from the crisis stronger, with a renewed focus on human rights as part of the Sustainable Development Agenda. On International Human Rights Day, the UN reaffirms the universality of human rights. On behalf of the Secretary-General, I urge the Guyanese government and all Guyanese citizens to find ways to place human rights right at the heart of response, recovery, and development plans, uplifting all people to ensure that no one is left behind. Despite the hardship it has imposed, the pandemic has also reminded us of the benefits of solidarity and the rewards of working together. Only by exemplifying the spirit of solidarity will we emerge from the current situation strengthened, renewed, and ready to build a better future.